Will Donald Trump end the current chaos in the financial markets and the Bitcoin market in 72 hours? We have a very, very important event here that we absolutely need to look at now, because there are new backgrounds. Donald Trump really has it in his hands now, whether he lets the market crash further, or if we see a recovery rally. He is talking about a day of liberation, and we need to see whether this will really be the day of liberation or if the nightmare will continue here. I mean, it's not a nightmare. I mean, we have a small sideways period. People are starting to panic now. So everyone needs to chill out a bit here. I mean, we've had a time and again in the past that Bitcoin goes through a sideways period. That's why we shouldn't see it too negatively if there's a slightly extended sideways phase now. But I understand that it upsets a lot of people. Additionally, we have some interesting statements from CZ that we will look at. And then we have a new statement from Robert Kiyosaki, who now says, hey, he's buying Bitcoin. He doesn't care about what Donald Trump is doing here. They're not interested in the whole story. If you want to get rich, then you need Bitcoin here. Now there's a very, very exciting one. An article from CBS News where it says Trump plans more tariffs on the 2nd. This is the important date I told you about here in 72 hours. Calls it the day of liberation. And now we're going to look at what that means, because the Trump administration is planning to do this to impose a new round of tariffs. The article states that economists see the announcement as the pinnacle of his America First policy. So, trade policy putting America first is considered here. An executive order he signed on his first day in office aimed at revitalizing the American industry. Trump refers to his announcement here as the big thing, which suggests that the plans might be more extensive than the previous import tariffs he has already imposed on goods from other countries. As his statements on March 26th indicated, here he lauded by announcing 25% tariffs on vehicles and auto parts imported into the USA. So we need to watch very closely what happens on that day. I mentioned yesterday, for example, that the Kuwaiti letter assumes that things will continue to move sideways and downward for a while because they simply expect that retaliatory tariffs will lead to more retaliatory tariffs and that the situation will continue to escalate. It will escalate further and continue to rise. However, there are other people who believe it's a bluff, that Donald Trump is essentially bluffing to create a strong starting position for his negotiations on tariffs with other nations, so that, for example, on the 2nd April, he simply says, okay, hey folks, it wasn't all that bad and so on, let's take it down a notch and chill out here. And it could also be that the markets quickly pump capital back in. But until we have clarity, there's still, well, no significant capital inflow. That's what I've been saying repeatedly over the past days and weeks. And what I can only repeat once more. Donald Trump's big plan is to strengthen the economy. And for now, he's putting the stock markets, Bitcoin and so on the back burner. This means he's potentially accepting losses in some financial markets to, at least in his view, strengthen the economy in the long term with his policies. And there was a very, very interesting assessment at the Mining Disrupt conference from a Bitcoin expert discussing the plans of America and how Donald Trump could use Bitcoin not only to push America forward, but also to use Bitcoin as a beneficial tool. And at the same time, Bitcoin would benefit from it. It's about a zombie society. This is also a term that Marcus frequently uses, saying that we are currently a zombie society. And now we can break out of this zombie society with Bitcoin and become a productive society.
What is a zombie economy? Explain that a little bit. Zombie companies.
Absolutely. And this is where Bitcoin comes into play its role, because the government borrows this money. It prints the money, it borrows the money, and it spends it back into the economy. And if that were successfully working, then our debt to GDP would be getting healthier, not worse. So we're taking these dollars, we're investing them into the economy. We're not getting back the dollar plus interest that we need to get back in order to become in a healthier position. So what do we need to do? We need to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. We need to recognize Bitcoin is not a risk on tech stock. It is actually a pristine collateral. And just look no further than El Salvador. El Salvador has some of the best performing traditional bonds in the world. Why? Because they've added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And that's what's making the banks increase their credit rating. So the United States of America needs to take the money it's borrowing and spend it better, spend it smarter. And you build wealth smarter with Bitcoin. So if we can put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, all of a sudden those dollars that we're putting into the economy that are not returning more than $1 are going to return more than $1 in Bitcoin. And now we can start to strengthen our financial position, which ultimately makes the dollar a little bit more stronger, right? It gives it some more longevity so that we can really work our way out of the true problems. Position, which ultimately makes the dollar a little bit more stronger, right? It gives it some more longevity so that we can really work our way out of the true problems, which are that we've become complacent and dependent upon printing instead of production.
Which is being presented here, that a zombie nation is transformed into a productive nation, that you simply don't just throw money at everything, but rather that you focus on efficiency here. And Bitcoin plays a very, very big part here. He takes the example of El Salvador and how El Salvador has improved its credit rating through Bitcoin. And that's also what the USA wants to do here. With stablecoins and with Bitcoin, they want to bring the US dollar back to its former strength so that global trust returns. He also points out that currently, if you have government expenditures, you spend $1, but then the return on investment is only about 50 cents or something like that, or 40 or 30 cents. This is not only the case in the USA, it's the same. In Germany, it's like this everywhere. The debts just keep getting bigger, but nothing ever gets reduced. And with Bitcoin, for the first time, it would be the case that the USA invests $1, and instead of getting back 50 cents, the invested dollar turns into $2, $3, $4, $10, or something like that. And potentially, in the long term, it could even have the effect of being able to pay back the debts with it. Additionally, as already mentioned, like in El Salvador, the credit rating could improve even further. I mean, the USA has a good credit rating, but still, with a better credit rating, he simply means that there would be even more demand for government bonds. And that's also what Donald Trump wants, for government bonds to be in demand, for interest rates to go down, for there to be affordable financing options in the USA, for people to have access to cheap loans. Then society booms. We are simply in a fiat money system where people are dependent on cheap fiat money. Simply a junkie society, you have to say that. In a Bitcoin standard, it wouldn't be like this, but this is the current world we live in. And that's why the real liberation isn't actually here now on the 2nd of April, here the Liberation Day, or something from Donald Trump, but actually the strategy that was presented here, that would be the real liberation for the USA. Then you could take this to the next level. But it could also be a lot of wishful thinking, daydreaming. I mean, that's the vision many Bitcoin enthusiasts would like to see. But how it will look in reality, whether Donald Trump will say, no, he's doing it completely differently, or something like that, you never know. And then we had a very, very interesting assessment from CZ, the founder of Binance, who actually says that currently 99% of crypto users just want to make quick money. And only 1% are interested in building. However, he says that this last rate, the 1%, makes the big difference. And that's where the small L, the big money, really lies. That means, well, I don't know if it's really true that 99% just want quick money. So feel free to let me know below in the comments whether you really just want quick money here. I can tell you from my perspective, for me, Bitcoin was always the money or the tool that I discovered that for me could solve problems for which I previously had no answers. How do you deal with overconsumption? Why are we in a wasteful society? Why do none of us have time? Why is our time being stolen? And so on. Those were questions for which I had no answers. And then it became clear to me, hey, Bitcoin is the key to this. Bitcoin brings us back to a lower time preference. Bitcoin gives us back our time. Bitcoin gives us the ability to save again. Yes, number go up is cool, but I wouldn't say it's like the set here. 99% of the people here just want to quickly make some money. I do see a lot of people here who are, let's say, pushing projects forward. But it could also be that I'm trapped in my own bubble here. I mean, when you're pushing projects forward yourself, you also see those around you. Only people who are pushing projects forward. You're often trapped in your own bubble. So feel free to write your assessments in the comments below. And now we have a very, very interesting statement from the Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki, who has also said that he wants to sell large portions of his gold and invest in Bitcoin. He has made another very, very viral tweet where he talks about Bitcoin, gold, silver, and also society in general. What's currently happening, and it's very, very interesting, he says the rich are getting richer. We all know this is due to the Cantillon effect, where central banks can redistribute money. The people who are close to the source of money creation benefit more than those who are very far from it. He goes on to say, for many, many years I've been advising people not to save fake money, meaning government fiat money. For years, I've been recommending saving real gold and silver coins. Recently, also Bitcoin. Unfortunately, most people work and save fake money. When the prices of gold, silver, and Bitcoin rise, the purchasing power of those who work for fake money decreases, and save it through government theft, known as inflation. So here it's clearly referred to as theft. Yes, there's nothing to criticize about that so far. Or so. So there is real money and there is fake money. I mean, it's always subjective to some extent. What is real, what is fake, and so on. But he simply distinguishes between real and fake. One can be printed, the other cannot be printed. And you should ideally save your money in something that cannot be easily printed centrally. Then he continues here, I want you to become richer, not poorer. Please start working for and saving in gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So this is actually just the very simple message to you all. Hey, go to work, have a business, do something, anything that you enjoy or maybe even don't enjoy. But try to generate cash flow or rental income or whatever, but you need some kind of income to cover your living expenses and also save something on the side. And what you save on the side, don't just put it in your account or savings book, but rather put it into silver, gold, or Bitcoin. I mean, you can choose afterwards, you can also opt for stock markets or even real estate, but the wrong thing is to just leave it in the savings book. And everything has its certain advantages and disadvantages. I would definitely prefer Bitcoin here. But Kiyosaki goes a step further and says, okay, gold and silver are also acceptable here. Then he says here that silver is the best of the three gold. Silver and Bitcoin in the next 2 months. So he says that silver will perform the best. We'll see about that. That's just his prediction. Today, silver costs about $35 per ounce. I believe that the price of silver could soon be at $70 per ounce this year. And in 1 or 2 years, here at $200. That means I don't really understand what kind of statement he's making here. He says that the price of silver will nearly double. For Bitcoin, he actually made a prediction that Bitcoin will be at 250,000 by the end of the year. He said that a short time ago, I don't know, a few weeks or so, and I even reported on it. That means the statement doesn't really make sense because if his prediction is still current, maybe he has changed it by now, then Bitcoin wouldn't be the better candidate here because with Bitcoin we have more than a doubling here. Potentially, it's also what we often see when gold doubles, when silver doubles or so. Then with Bitcoin we often have a multiple. Then we have a tripling to 6 times and something in that direction for sure, he says. The best news is that today, almost everyone in the world can afford at least 1 silver coin. But tomorrow, be careful, so again a bit exaggerated here. In my opinion, silver won't be too expensive tomorrow that you can't afford it anymore. But Bitcoin is such that today almost no one can afford a whole Bitcoin. But if we consider 0.1 Bitcoin, today many people can still afford 0.1 Bitcoin. But probably in 10 years, almost no one will be able to afford 0.1 Bitcoin. Or at least not just like that, bam, smash it. So from that perspective, very, very interesting insights, even if I wouldn't agree with one here. But hey, it's completely open. Everyone can do what they want with their money. Feel free to write in the comments below how you see it. I'll also put a link for you to 21 Bitcoin, how simple, secure, and easy it is. You can buy Bitcoin here, and with the code Bitcoin Hotel, you can get up to 20% off the fees when purchasing Bitcoin. Definitely check it out, and especially if price is correct and so on, you can also set limit orders, for example, saying, okay, I'll place an order at 80,000. And as soon as the price drops to 80,000, the order will automatically execute. And then I've secured the good price for myself. Feel free to try it out, folks. See you then. Peace out.